Hey everyone, I am back with another deck to share with you. This time I'm going to share with you the Druid Craft Tarot deck by Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gomm, illustrated by Will Worthington. This particular deck I was not initially drawn to, and there's probably very many reasons why I wasn't initially drawn to it, but I ended up getting the deck for a very, very specific purpose. One is I have been seeing people with this deck, and I find that I do enjoy the artwork, and I really liked the cut down version. So people have modified the deck. So I got this deck because I do enjoy the artwork, and I do like the concept of the cards and what they stand for, but I wasn't going to get it until I saw the people with modified decks. So I decided that I was going to get the deck and I was going to modify it, and I was going to and then see how it works out for me. But since this would be one of my first modifications, I'm going to obviously do modifications on another deck that is not this deck, so that I know what I'm doing, and then I will go for this one. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to share this deck to you in its original form, what it originally looks like, and then maybe a little later I'll do a modification video because with the deck that I'm working with right now, that I'm working on modifying, and you'll see why I want to modify this deck here in a little bit. So anyways, this is the Druid Craft Tarot deck. The one thing that I do like when I got this deck, I was expecting this humongous box like I get with like a lot of the Llewellyns and some of the Radiant Rider-Waite came in a big box. A lot of these tarot cards come in a big box. And this one, the box is not that big. This is more of like an oracle deck box. It is a sturdy box. The only thing about this box is it doesn't have thumb things to help separate the bottom from the top, but it does slide out. So anyways, let's take a look. It's 78 cards, which is a full tarot deck. I think this deck is a very earthy deck because of the Druid, the concept for the Druidry that follows the Druid craft. So anyways, but this is the deck, and let's open it up here. See, I really do wish there was little thumb holes, but that's okay. Anyways, so the book is the size of the box, right? And the cards are the size of the book. So it's a very, very big card, and I'll even give examples so you can see really truly how big these cards are. This is the book. It's a very looks, from what I kind of glanced through, it's your basic little white book. It has just a lot of details in it, but when it comes to describing the things, it just gives you a little bit of information on each cards. It gives you enough to help you forward and help you get the basic understanding and idea of these cards. I would probably, if you're a beginner, it might be a good deck to work with, but I would probably suggest a more traditional deck and get your foundations before you start branching out to these types of decks that break away from the traditional. So because most books are written with the Rider-Waite-Smith in mind, with that traditional deck, and when you start getting into these decks that break from the traditional and they embellish it and they go based on and they follow other lines of thoughts and other lines of beliefs, they can diverge, but they will have a basic meanings and the basic symbology. Anyways, so this deck has 80 pages, or this book, not deck. So it's just basic information. I'm sure it gives you some spreads, some ideas for spreads, which would probably be the basic Celtic cross. I don't know. I haven't seen the spreads. Maybe they don't. Maybe it doesn't. Yeah, one sample spread. It's not. It's a hexagram spread. I don't see a Celtic cross, but obviously that gives you an idea of one of the spreads that are designed for this deck, and you can give it a try. I haven't yet. I just opened this box. I just took a look at all the pictures and just marveled at them. So let's take a look at these cards. So here's the back of the cards. And The back of the cards are pretty simplistic. It's kind of weird, but it's got copyright on the bottom, and then on the reverse, it's got copyright there. So you can definitely, these are reversible cards. Because I'm going to modify this deck, this whole gold edge will probably vanish and go away, but the whole inside will remain the same. It's very, very woodsy feel, brown, very simplistic, but it's actually really nice. So anyways, I would say the stock of the cards is very flexible, extremely flexible. It's not thick, it's not super thin, but I would say it's on the thinner side of a normal deck. So, and I would say probably if you're not planning to modify this deck, it's probably a good thing, because this thing is a monstrosity. So, I mean, it's a monstrosity. It does bend very well, or very easily, you know. I guess you could do it that way, but I don't know. It's just a huge deck, and let me show you why. So I'm going to show you a standard tarot card, this is a tarot deck, so this is relevant. Standard tarot, this is the Rider-Waite. This is the Rider-Waite Radiant, right? And this is this, and it is a monster. It's huge. So a standard tarot deck, this is quite a bit wider, quite a bit taller. So if you got small hands, this is going to be a challenging deck to hold in your hands. So I'll give you, there's a standard oracle card. This is a standard oracle card. This is the Work Your Light oracle, and it is even bigger than that. So it is almost the same width as this particular one, but it is way taller. So this is a very big deck, very large cards. So then if you want another comparison, this is Dreams of Gaia. This is a little thinner than the Work Your Light, but again, you're still looking at, and this is not a small card, these are not small cards, you're still looking at it's bigger, wider wise, and it is much taller. So this is, like I said, a really big card. Now, I am going to compare this to my largest cards that I have and what I own, and it is the Fairy Oracle. This is the Fairy Oracle, right? So the Fairy Oracle is one of the larger cards, and it is literally the same height as this card, and it is a little narrower than this card. So still, the Fairy Oracle is still my largest card in my whole collection, but this one now is my second largest. So this is just going to tell you just how big it is. So I mean, with this one, I have to shuffle it. I have to shuffle this deck this way because it's so large, because I can barely get my fingers from here to here. So this is why this is becoming one of the decks that is targeted for me for modifications, which means that I am going to take off the borders and I'm going to shrink the size of the cards so that they're usable. And hopefully when it's all said and done, I do a good job and it'll be a nice working deck for me. That is a very earthy deck, especially when I really want an earthy deck. This particular deck, I am really finding as I've looked through the cards, there's definite changes to the suites. Not every card is named similar to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. The names have been changed and the meanings have also been changed. Well, not really. I mean, it's they've been enhanced, or they pull out aspects of the traditional meanings that are not normally used with those cards, but it really works for this deck. In the major arcanas, just to let you know, there is nudity in the major arcanas. I don't think it's distasteful, but you know, if you're offended by that, just letting you know, it's only in the majors, which we're going to go through. So I wanted to go through this and let's discuss it a little bit and enjoy the artwork here. So this is the Fool. You know, the very first thing you see with the Fool is you see a dog, but it's not a white dog. She doesn't hold roses. She holds, you know, some sort of sprigs, or, you know, some sort of, you know, I don't know, the really tiny white flowers. But it's pretty much, it holds to the entire tradition of the Rider-Waite-Smith. She's on the she's getting ready to walk off the cliff. She's looking up in the sky. She's getting ready to take her journey. So this is our journey. So here's the magician in front of the Stonehenge. The high priestess, she's not sitting, but same concepts, just different artwork. You have the lady, which is in replacing the empress. Same meanings though. You have the Lord replacing the emperor. It's kind of cool. And then you have the high priest replacing the Hierophant. You have the lovers. There's no angel though, but you got a doe. These lovers show up in another card. Here's the Chariot. I like this Chariot. Definitely gives the idea of motion. Strength. Instead of a lion, there's a boar. The Hermit. The Wheel, instead of the Wheel of Fortune. But you can see it's kind of the same. Definitely talking about cycles. Justice. This one reminds me of Athena, the Greek goddess. This is the Hangman. He's just not clothed. Death. I like this version of Death because it's not a skeleton riding a horse with fiery eyes. It's an old lady. She has the death symbols, you know. Definitely, it has the same concepts, but it's not as frightening. It definitely condenses, like there's an end and a new beginning of the rising wisp. New beginning, transformation. This would be the Temperance card, except it's not the Temperance. I don't think that's the Furlilt. I don't know how to say it, but there you go. But it's the same constant. It's the male, female, the blending, the creating balance. So it's the same concept. This is Cernunnos. And this is actually different. This would be considered the Devil card, and there's your two lovers. They're just sleeping. But he has a different meaning than the Devil card. It's more about, you know, abundance is possible. Things are possible. It's not as devilish as the devil itself, but it can mean deceit and stuff. So you can use the traditional meanings, but if you follow the books, it's a much softer version of it, or even an altered version of it. So I actually like that, because sometimes when you're really stressed out and you see a double card or something, you really don't need that jolt to your system. So this is a softer version of it. And it also gives you a different message, which is probably more grounding, which I really like. And the Tower, that's the same. The Star. The Moon. The Sun. Rebirth takes the place of Judgment. And I like this one too, because it's like rebirth in this particular deck is, you know, when you reach a certain point in your life, you are reborn to a call. So you're going to create something new. You're reborn. You're rebirthed. And I like that. It's a similar meaning, but the Judgment is a little bit more. So when you're looking at the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, you're definitely looking at more Christian symbolisms. This one is definitely a Druid symbolism. So, and I like these words, and I think that it's actually really nice. I am actually finding when I go through this, as I go through this deck, this is a few times I've went through it already. I really want to read this more intuitively. It's not like, I mean, I know the meanings of all the different cards in the traditional deck, but I also see different symbolism, so it brings a different meaning forth. Because, you know, every deck, every card has multiple layers of meanings depending on where the card lays or what card is next to it. I mean, there's always these multiple layers to their meanings. And I like that there's new ways of looking at it with this. So there's Rebirth, and there's the World. I like the blues. Okay, so now we are in the minors. So The minors, you know, they actually grouped this when I was going through this. They group these like the princesses, the knights, the kings, the queens, the ace, and they everything is grouped by all the different suites. So it's not going through each suite numerically. It's grouped by suites, or grouped by the names of the cards. So the Princess of Wands replaces the Page of Wands, and in some ways, I miss the idea of youthfulness, of innocence, of you can approach things very immaturely because your emotions have got the best of you. This kind of goes away when you have the Princess of Wands. Using princesses for the pages, you're looking more of the female aspects of the new journeys, more of the, you know, the more passive energies. It can be, I mean, you can still use the meanings for the pages for the princesses. You just have to be aware when you see it. When you look at everything, it's just knowing what the pages mean, and understand that the princess replaces it. So now you have a double layer meaning. So that's how you can use it. So this is the Princess of Wands. This is the Princess of Cups, Princess of Swords, and Princess of Pentacles. Then we move into the Knights, which is more traditional. You have the Prince of Wands, the Prince of Cups. Don't you love the sunsets? Aren't they so pretty? These colors in these cards are gorgeous. I really can't wait to get working on this deck so that I can use it. The Prince of Swords, the Prince of Pentacles. Then you're in the Queens. The Queen of Wands, the Queen of Cups, Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles. So you can already get the feeling that this is a very earthy deck. Not a lot of oceans, but very earthy. So King of Wands, King of Cups, King of Swords, King of Pentacles. Here's the Ace of Wands. I like that. Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. I love those colors. Isn't that color's just so pretty? It's beautiful. Two of Wands, Two of Cups, Two of Swords. I like the different perspective from that. She's facing two paths, and she's undecided, and she's blindfolded. I like that perspective. It's a different one. What before you? Two of Pentacles, Three of Wands, Three of Cups. I like this too. Usually it's three women dancing in a field. Now you got three guys sitting around a table, and it brings a different kind of celebration. Are they celebrating getting ready to take a journey? What are they celebrating? And I like that it's just very kind of wholesome food and drinks and stuff like that. They could be partying. Three of Swords I like this version too. It's because it's not three swords in a heart. They're just kind of rested up, so you can definitely see that there's heartbreak. They're laying down their swords. You know, it's not as devastating, but it definitely shows. I mean, are they giving up? What's going on? So a lot of things to think about. I like the Three of Pentacles. See, I really like this deck. I really like the artwork here. Four of Wands, Four of Cups, Four of Swords, Four of Pentacles, Five of Wands. This looks more like competition, don't you think? They don't really necessarily seem like they're fighting. It's more like competing. So it gives a different perspective because the chicken's not scared. Five of Cups, Five of Swords. Were you the winner? Were you the loser? You're fighting, still fighting. Five of Pentacles. This one I like. because it gives a different perspective. It's not necessarily being left out in the cold like the traditional. It's a lot more like, you know, she's depressed. She's maybe put herself out in the cold or separated herself. I mean, what's the reasons? I mean, what is it? Is it a depression? What's going on? Why is she separated herself from everything else? So I really like that perspective for this. 6 of Wands, 6 of Cups, 6 of Swords. I like that one too. 6 of Pentacles, 7 of Wands, standing your ground, different perspective. 7 of Cups. I love this one. I used to do that when I was young. I'd go into the mountains, stand next to a stream, and really contemplate, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do for my life? It's like you're looking in the water and thinking about all your choices. 7 of Swords. I like this one because this isn't really a thievery type card. You know, it's like, are you trying to get away with something? Or are you trying to take something? This is more like, you know, you're planning and being meticulous. You may be taking a journey on your own. You're getting ready to put things, you're being meticulous and doing your work to get ready to go. I like that lesser known version of the traditional 7 of Swords in this particular deck. I really like that. It still can mean thievery and stuff. You just have to remember there's a guy stealing swords as he's trying to sneak away in the traditional deck. 7 of Pentacles, 8 of Wands. This is what drew me to this deck. I love the 8 of Cups. It's the off in search of something better. It's the, you know, leaving the things behind, moving yourself forward, off in search of something. You know, you're guided by your intuition. That's an eclipse, if you actually notice. It's actually an eclipse. So, we have a lunar eclipse coming up soon. Anyways, 8 of Swords. 8 of Pentacles. 9 of Wands. 9 of Cups. 9 of Swords. 9 of Pentacles. 10 of Wands, 10 of Cups. Aren't these so nice? 10 of Swords, and 10 of Pentacles. So there we go. Here's this deck. I have a couple cards backwards. Shall we turn those around? All right. So this is the deck. This is this monstrosity of a deck with some really beautiful artwork. Artwork that, you know, initially I was not going to get this deck, but I've been drawn to the artwork. I've seen people modify this deck, and I'm really excited to have my hand at it. So I didn't spend a whole lot of money on this deck, so I'm actually not going to feel terribly if I mess it up too bad, but I did start modifying another deck to see how it would work. So I'll probably do a video on that and show you how I am modifying the decks and kind of give you an idea of maybe how I'm going to modify this deck. So until next time, I hope you enjoy, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.